Hi everyone, my name is Timothy Vadeboncoeur. So I'm here today to present you the double mind effect in Quebec. So now, you might ask yourself why I did not choose my country, Canada. That's a good question actually. But I realized something. While trying to make a PowerPoint about Canada, I was unable to relate about English Canadian culture. And nothing wrong with that. I just realized that we grew up different. And also, I had difficulty to find subjects that we talked about in our class. For example, the religion. Maybe you don't know, maybe you know. I don't know if you guys can see, but religion in Canada is not really popular. Not a lot of people practice it, and even less in Quebec. Only 10% of the people consider themselves like religious people that practice it, and mostly it's old people and immigrants that practice their own religion. So religion is not really like an important topic unless it's about make it illegal to practice. That's another topic, but yeah. So I decided to go with Quebec identity because first of all I know way more about it, and I have a lot of reason to and a lot of context to put with double mind. So, oh, first of all, maybe some of you don't know, but the official language of Canada is French and English. But only 10% of the people in Canada are native French speakers. And I don't know if you can see the map because it's blocking it a little bit. But as you can see, it's a map made by Statistic Canada that shows how many percent of the people can converse both in English and French. And you realize that outside of Quebec, not even like in New Brunswick, not a lot of people are able to speak French and English. And the only I number that you can see is like Quebec, but this is a percentage. It's a percentage of people that cannot speak English actually, because 94% of the people in Quebec can speak French, and yeah, so you can see that just out of the bat, just in language, you can see a big difference in the culture of language in Canada and Quebec. And also add the culture. Because of the barrier of the language, Quebec usually develop its own culture and don't export it to the rest of Canada. So for example, if I ask like Canadian people, maybe they know it, but I'm really surprised. This is like the most famous humor comedy artist in Quebec. Usually people in Canada don't know him. I see it. Yeah, this is one of the most famous music group in Canada, in Quebec, I mean, and usually people don't know them. I think French people know more about this group than people in Canada, even though same country. And I put this one just because usually people in Canada and US relate to it because it's a really popular animated show, and to say that English content usually is important to Canada. So we know about like, in Quebec we are influenced by English Canadian culture, but our own culture is not important to the rest of Canada. So the fact we are separated by language and culturally make Quebec isolated. So usually what brings Quebec people in Quebec, we don't call ourselves Canadians because we just feel different. Also, English speakers in Canada usually tend to call us French Canadian. Just with this use of language, you can see that we are different, and they tell us we're different, and it's not wrong because we feel we are different. So it brings a question: why Quebec is not its own country? And we had actually Quebec people tried 2 times. They did a referendum, and actually one of them in 1995 well, the vote for if Quebec should be a country lost for only 6.6%. So we were almost 50-50 on the question. And today's statistic showed that 40% of the population is for a Canadian Quebec country. And I put a map of what the percentage of the vote are. Usually the red are the place where most English speakers in Quebec are. This is a territory where a lot of indigenous people lives. So, and indigenous people were more colonized by British people, so they kept English. And Montreal city is almost red, but reddish, because 60% of people in Montreal only speaks English. So now I give you the reason why people feel like Quebec should be a country, and now I'll give you the reason why people don't want a country. So, obvious reasons, money. We don't really see it, but actually this is like a GDP. So I forgot how you spell it in English. I mean per capita is like the money you gain per capita in Canada is like in top 10 or close to that. So being in Canadian province is pretty profitable for the money, and also fear of the United States for obvious reason. And also native English people don't want to be their own country because they feel more Canadian. So that's where the double mind comes in play. So Quebecers usually tends to feel like they have their own language, own culture, and they're isolated from the rest. So they're put aside. So their own feelings brings them to think we should have our own country. But the problem is usually a lot of people feels like in this world where the money is really important, losing economic power is really scary, and losing negotiation power with the United States, also in that Donald Trump era, is all really, really scary. So it brings like a really inflict a really hard impact of contradiction between these two. And I think I just repeat myself, but yeah, that's about it. This is my source, also Statistic Canada, statistic of Quebec, and also like it was for the statistic of how many people wants a country in Quebec right now. So that's all. Thank you very much.